So,
Perfect. Amazing. So we got all of this set up and our live stream is now running. So you can pick that up over on eastrologer.tv to see the astrology in action. It really does make a difference when you can see everything that's on the screen here. So I know we have some exciting things and we're going to catch up with our subscriber Amala here in a little bit. Um, so let me just ask you, Veretta, what are some things that we need to know for the week ahead in terms of how things are going and energies to be aware of, that kind of thing?
well, it's a little bit of a continuation of, what we talked about last week, but the feeling this week is it's the ending um, is a little bit more subtle. It's a little less um, climactic, it's a little subdued. Same thing, but it's got overtones of mellow, which is much nicer than hit you in the head with a frying pan. And the feeling is that if you need to catch up with something or if there's something you need to do, now's the time to do it because this won't last very long. We're going to go back into more of the same. Woohoo! There we go. We're on a roller coaster ride again. So it's not necessarily anything that should be daunting. Although if you don't get around to doing it right now in the lull, you may have to wait a little bit before you can really get that finalized.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've had this thing where like I've been in email hell since about like October of last year where I had this email that I missed from Google administration about a payment or billing issue and my account expired and I had been fighting so hard to get my data back and it's really been quite hell to go through this whole process. So pro tip to anybody, if you have something that's about to expire, please take care of it because it is a mess to clean up. And, this has really been a total upheaval and ruined my life in a lot of ways just because of all of what I used to know, what was so easy to access is now really just a bear. There are entire classes of people that I can no longer get to. 12 years worth of professional screenwriting consultation info that I can no longer access. It was basically a textbook, how to write comedy. And all of that is gone. But you know what? I finally pulled some strings and it's starting to look up a little bit. I don't know what that means. It may not go very far, but this is the furthest I have gotten in like the past, 6 months or so. And it has been excruciating. So the fact that I've even made it this far, that's really kind of telling me something that as you're saying, Beretta, that this is really a month or a time period where we can get stuff done, but it's very short lived. It's here today, gone tomorrow. It's not going to last very long. So take advantage of it before it's too late and things start getting complicated because whatever projects that you may have had to put on the back burner or stuff that just got put on hold because it wasn't the right time, start playing around with those ideas and see what happens. Like on our last or on our last Sunday show, we always preach here on the show, if it's easy street, go with it. If it's an uphill battle, run away, because like the human mind is powered to take the path of least resistance, right? So whenever we can get things done in those directions, let's work that way. So it will be very short lived and it's going to go away again, but for this little bit here we can be productive. And I do want to invite everybody, if you're watching on our YouTube stream or live on Facebook Live or wherever the heck it is, please give us a call here on the show so we can talk to you and give you your free live reading. That number is 319-527-6071. Again, that's 319-527-6071. We'll be here for about the next hour or so, or until 7 p.m. Arizona Standard Time, and then we will be back with you guys again on Sunday morning. Okay, so
So I'm actually looking on our stream and I'm not seeing it come up. I'm just seeing the caption.
okay, so it's not
Maybe
live
it,
yet.
never mind. I'm not just live. It's not live yet.
Oh, great! This is not supposed to happen. Okay, so are you sure you're on the right page on YouTube?
Well, I'm would to YouTube and I'm also looking on Facebook.
That is so freaky
It
because
says
it's showing
waiting.
up as live
One
here on my
waiting.
page.
Well, it could be me, so it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to
Yeah, it looks
follow
like
because
it
I
said.
like to look at the charts you
I
pull up.
just I just started it like 4 minutes ago on the hour, so you might want to refresh your page.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
No, no worries. No worries.
All right. So
Keep going.
Veretta, we've kind of been talking a lot about rebranding things here, and in terms of what we do for everybody on the show, and also kind of how we can help you guys offline, and giving you some more ideas and options in that regard. So we would love to hear your feedback. Be sure to go over to eastrologer.tv, my personal website, and leave us some feedback about, some directions or things, ideas that you may have about like additional services or conversations that you would like to have with us about how we can start expanding things into new territories that are wanted, because I have some ideas of my own, but if not everybody's on board with it, then what's it good for? I mean, we really want to take that subscriber feedback. We really do appreciate it. So something we're looking at is, possibly doing like, a paid group where people can connect with us more privately than what we do here on the show. Because one of the major disadvantages of getting a reading on the show is the fact that you have to let all of your personal stuff hang out on the internet. And some people are uncomfortable with that. Like some people are so much as uncomfortable to give us the first name. And I understand that. There is a time and place for all of that. As always, the astrology is always free because that's our brand. But, that privacy, yeah, you do have to pay for that. That's kind of where that comes in. So we are, considering some options to where, we might be doing like a paid Facebook group or a Patreon account or something along those lines to where you can connect with us. And then we have some other options because it seems to be the common theme in all of the readings that we give people and have been for the past couple of years is that most people will agree that they are in an unpleasant situation or a situation that may not necessarily be unpleasant, but it's just not what they want. Like it's not that one life to live mentality that, everything isn't perfectly fine tuned in every aspect of your life. So, like the one theme that always rings true in every single reading that we do is live your best life, and we can show you how to do that. And people who have lifted themselves, like Jessica, for example, or Dion, or many other people who have been with us, who have been in some, it was just okay, but then where we ended up today is something that was so unfathomable. Like, how the heck did I end up here? Well, it's because you did the work on yourself so that we could have these conversations. So we're trying to figure out how to make that more mainstream and more accessible to other people. So my textbook will be a big part of that, and the psycho-spiritual exploration that Veretta and I will be working on over the next few weeks here. So that's one big element of it. But I mean, as an aside from that, maybe if you don't want to buy a textbook and learn how to do Uranian astrology, what else is there? So we're doing research for those markets to see what that might look like. Because I know that really is a common theme, and really sort of our claim to fame is, let's help you live that life that you really want, so everything is the way as it's supposed to be. Because we can reach these points, you just have to kind of figure out what is it in your chart that we can modify or change so things start working out in your favor here. So, yeah, Beretta, what you got to say to that? Because haven't you noticed that that's a thing with everybody, that everybody's always in this perpetual state of change, and, things are really going great for a lot of people?
Yeah. So I had a couple of sessions today, and one of them really struck out that she's very awake, and she's evolved, if you will, to that point of understanding that things are not set in stone, and whatever you want may not end up in concrete. It may just be something that you really have to learn from, learn to excel in, learn to master, and then it's gone. It's gone because you don't need it anymore. And that's where some people think that, well, I had it, I was up on top for a little while, but then something happened and I'm changed again. Yeah, change is constant. Change is inevitable. And without change, we don't grow. We get in a rut is what we do. And it ends up being what we sacrifice our life for. My objective is to take the things people would see as weaknesses and help them understand why they exist, and then morph it to the other end of that pendulum to strength and excel from that. Allow themselves to understand or see that, yeah, you may have this deficit. Right now it may be a problem, or you had a deficit and now you're out of it because you don't know how to function without deficit. You don't know how to function. So I wholeheartedly believe that if you're willing to learn something different, if you're willing to go that extra, you're going to get reward. You're going to get reward beyond your belief. And my aspect of spirituality um, is strengthened daily by the fact that I do know that things exist out there for us to meet our goals, for us to exceed our goals, for us to be happy with. We just have to accept them. We have to accept that maybe what we're doing right now really isn't what we should be doing. Maybe what we're doing right now, even though, it would seem grand, or it was what you wanted really bad, or you fought so hard to get, you're there now. And now it's not shiny anymore. It's not really all that pleasant. It's not, and it's very apparent to me. It wouldn't be to you because you're stuck in the middle of it and you're trying to gain access or ground on whatever's going on. But to me, it's very apparent on what the roadblocks are or what the stumbling blocks are, because I can look at it from that spiritual perspective, from that bigger picture perspective, and tell you, okay, you've done great, you've done wonderful, and right up to now, you've fulfilled everything you need. So now we need to continue on down the line and finish X, Y, Z, and you'll be on to the next chapter of your life. It doesn't mean you have to ditch everything you know. It doesn't mean you have to let go of everything you believe. It just means that you need to be open-minded to the fact that there can be more that you did miss, or you weren't ready for then, but you are now, or that you just didn't know what you didn't know, kind of thing. And once you accept that, maybe if that's added, or it, becomes a compliment to what you're doing, then you can live your best life. You can be authentic. You can be real and not caught up in the stream, getting swept away, thinking you're a victim or you had no choice, or, I got all these bills. I can't possibly leave this crazy job I hate so much. The reality of it is yeah, you can. Your bills are going to stay there, but the reality of it is now you can make the money doing what you like to pay them. So there are things that we can do, and when we complement my metaphysical aspect of life and Ernesto's mastering at Uranian Astrology can give you those little details that you're missing. They can fill in the gaps. They can fill in the blanks. We can bring you what you didn't think was possible, because we're looking at it from more than one perspective. And a lot of times, and I don't care how great you think you are at metaphysics, tarot or pendulum or runes or whatever it is that you feel like your specialty is, I guarantee from my perspective that I can look at something outside of what you get. And Ernesto can also put your chart into play, and we can give you a fuller story. We can give you a more complete picture. And then you have choice. You have choice as to whether or not you want to choose to make these things happen, and make a difference in your life or complete whatever program you thought you were on. But it really starts with a matter of being open-minded enough to see and hear what you don't know, and know that it's not going to be a problem if you embrace it as such and let go of what you're so fearful of losing when you think that's all you've got.
And a lot of times, this lends to the question of challenging our thoughts and asking ourselves the question, so what happens if we do that scary thing that we're afraid of? Like if we just rip off the Band-Aid and say goodbye. Like I've had that experience many times, and let me tell you, it is so healing when you have a difficult interaction with somebody or a toxic relationship that you finally just decided to purge yourself of. And you can do like the letter writing and all of that kind of stuff to get all of that junk out of your system, or you can just say goodbye and not give another bother and move on with your life. It's really surprising what happens and how much of a fleeting memory that experience becomes when you disarm it by not giving your personal power away. So this has been a constant theme for me ever since I met my counselor Barbara many years ago, that she really instilled with me that, Ernesto, let's control the variables that we do have control of, because these are elements or aspects of my life that do impact my happiness. So like I'm not going to let myself fall off the deep end with some recreational behavior, we'll say, or whatever other thing that I'm doing to distract myself with, because I know it's going to impact, XYZ other areas of my life. And then that's going to make me feel not great about myself. So let's go ahead and take care of that first thing that started to become a problem, but I didn't want to recognize it. And then, when I finally just do say goodbye and move on and make that change, what happens afterward is actually quite thrilling because, the human mind is structured in such a way that when we get used to something, then we kind of write it off. But when we introduce something new, which is the opposite experience of what we've been having in the past, then we get used to that. That becomes the thrilling thing. That thing that we didn't want this whole time along, that becomes our best friend in the whole experience because we realize, oh, this is different. Like I like this. And then you kind of start to play with it and say, now what happens if I do this more? And, it's like, and then really just not keep these other people around me, and not answer the phone when they call and those sorts of things. Just ignore completely. To disarm the dragon really does a lot for you. And a lot of us don't want to think that it does because we're so wired to think that I have to be in this situation. No, you don't. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. Yeah, you might be out on the street for a while, but you'll figure things out. And at the end of the day, you have to weigh the possibilities. Is, that alternative worse than where you are now and this trajectory that you're on? So that's been a big thing that I've been, sort of struggling with recently, or wrestling with, is, just getting myself accustomed to having a different experience than what I'm used to. And not only that, but learning to like it for the different experience. And it's done a lot of really great things for me. Like Chinese acupuncture is another great thing that I've tried. That is so not all of the circle jerk of Western allopathic doctors that I have seen for the past 7 or 8 years for back pain and headaches and everything else. And then there's all the gaslighting and insurance money that's wasted. I finally decided, hey, you guys don't know what the heck you're doing. Let's try something new, something different. And I did, and it's the only thing that's worked, which is what's unbelievable. So, that's just speaks to everybody that when we're stuck at that one point in life, let's instill some positive change and see what comes out of that. Like people who are very stagnant, who don't want to change, who just like the status quo and aren't really, inclined to want to maybe try a higher road or even to just try change things up to do something different. Those are the people that get thrown away because my life is very crystal clear. Like, me because I'm going to instill and incite powerful change in you. And we can make that happen through Uranian astrology. If that's not what you want, then what good are you in my life? Then you can just get the heck away from me. That's really sort of where I'm at. And it's gotten to the point where it impacts my interpersonal relationships with others, where I realize you really don't do anything for me. Like, I have no reason why, I have no idea why you're in my life because, like knowing you at that point in my life when we first met, that all may have felt right and it was good at that time. But today it just doesn't match. Like I'm on a different course. So that's where we can make those determinations that a lot of our relationships, we're friends with people, that they're just not who we are. They don't reflect our current path of life. So that's a big thing, that we can do a personal inventory on those types of relationships and then cut the cords from there and just move on.
Right. And then I also hear a lot of times, well, then I'll be alone. I'll have nobody. Well, maybe that's something that you need to experience for about a minute and revamp what you feel is a necessity in your life. Everybody in your life is there for a reason, either to tell you that that's not something that they want in their life or, to be of benefit, whether it's a lifelong friend, a contract individual that's there to help you, and vice versa. Everybody comes in your path for a point in that time. And whether you keep them on and later, that's up to you. But the reality of it is people are conditioned. They are so conditioned by their upbringing, by their surrounding, their environment, society. They're so conditioned to feel like they cannot express who they are because they're going to offend somebody. Well, so here is my question to those people that would say, well, no, I can't just flick them off like they're a booger. Well, here's this. How do they treat you? And who says they're more valuable or they have more right than you to express themselves, to be happy? Where and who justifies them being capable of telling you what they think, but you're not. And when I press that to people and make them really look at the fact that they are the ones that devalue themselves, they are the ones that say, well, I guess that's true. I have just as much right. Yeah, you do. Now learn how to do it, because you've never been taught that it's okay to live your authentic self. No, I'm not saying be rude, be abrasive, go out and insult people, go out and purposely hurt people's feelings. No, that's not what I'm saying. And for those people that do that, then they indeed also need some counseling and a little bit of help, because somewhere along their life and time, they were bruised, they were ruined, they were hurt irrevocably, and all they can do is spit out that anger and hate that they feel. Well, maybe you're the person that's going to come along and say, I would like to love you. I would love to be your friend. But the reality of it is you're toxic, not only to me, but anybody that you come in contact with. And the more these people start to hear that, the more they have to learn eventually, if they're going to be around people that are of integrity and not really like them, they have to amend their behavior. And they start to think about what that means. Yeah, you do have to be nice. Yes, you do have to take other people's feelings into consideration. But the reality of it is you, again, another, this was you being taught either by someone else's character flaws against you, or just in, the upbringing that you had, that it's okay to crap all over people. And you don't have to be nice. And you don't have to take into consideration that being rude is not acceptable. Well, you do. And somebody somewhere will come along and tell you that. Now, one or two people aren't going to make a difference in those types of toxic people, because they're just going to see you as weak, and they're not going to find any appeal in you, and they don't need you in their life because you're not strong and you won't do their bidding, and they're not going to like you. Or if they feel like they have to have you in their life, or you're in a situation where you don't really have a choice to be near them, you have to be near them, but you kind of want to get along with them, you're the one that has to do what's right. You're the one that has to stop being abrasive. And the more people that tell these individuals that their behavior is not right is what will make them stop and listen. Not one or two folks, but everybody saying, I don't want to be around you. I can't put up with this. This is not right. I value myself enough not to let you hurt me repetitively just because you don't know any different, or you're so wounded, you want to put that out on everybody else. And the women that get into relationships with men, and I'm not even, I could use the word narcissism, but the reality of it is there's just brutal men out there. There's brutal people out there that want to hurt others like they've been hurt, and they don't know how to live any different. So we have to learn to step up for ourselves and defend our right to live just as equally as those people do. And once they get the hang of the fact that they're going to be utterly alone or surrounded by a bunch of people that are using them for whatever they're giving them, and they're not real, they're not authentic, they don't care, they don't love, they don't appreciate, then they'll stop acting like that, and or they'll seclude themselves away from others that they're trying to hurt and really figure out their problem eventually. Once and for all, I also want to say that nothing is set in stone. Nothing binds you to someone that treats you like crap. I don't care if you took wedding vows and you're devout in that aspect of those vows that they said till death do us part, for better or worse. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but beating up your wife or beating up your husband or your partner, regardless, is not acceptable. I don't care what vows were told. The fact is no one has a right to abuse you for any reason. And I think literally a lot of people, when I perform weddings, when I officiate weddings, I cater the ceremony to the individuals. And nowhere do I utter, unless they request it, nowhere do I utter the word or words obey and till death do us part, for better or worse. The reality of it is if it gets worse, a person has to take care of themselves. They can't take care of the other person. They can't allow themselves to be harmed. So the reality of it is they have to be in a place to understand that if they live their best life, if they live their authentic self, then eventually at some point in time, they will meet another individual that's also doing the same. And now you have an equal relationship. Now you have equal partnership. And getting past just putting that into a relationship perspective, again, if you have just as much right as they do to protect yourself, then you're also going to learn how to defend yourself in a manner that pretty much says, I'm going to walk away because I don't deserve this and you don't have a right to do it to me.
You know, it's funny. One of the biggest fallacies in like the Christian faith is that, people are taught, in Bible school, in Bible study, and when you're a kid, like do unto others as others would do unto you, or however they phrase that. What's funny is that most people in modern society today will agree that if the person in question who you need to, observe the golden rule with is an a-hole, you have every single right in the universe to be an a-hole back to them.
Well, or walk away. When I formed my church, one of the things that I wanted to know was, and I was not it was omni-denomination, which meant I took anybody in through those doors that wanted to hear me preach love and light. I didn't care about religion. I wanted to reach everybody so that they understood whatever leg they walked in on, I was going to honor that, as long as it was of love and light. And everything that I found out in researching multiple religions, multiple faiths, was that golden rule that you just quoted, do unto others as they would have done to you, that is the basis of every religion. It may be worded differently. It may be worded in such a manner that says an eye for an eye, depending upon which one faith or religion is. Eye for an eye, or tooth for a tooth, or if he's going to crap on you, you crap on him. But the Christian value of do unto others as you would have them do unto you is the purest form of acknowledging that you have just as much right as anyone else to be loved and be free of harm and be secure and not be told a bunch of rhetoric about how they're wrong or what they should do different or how they should bow down to somebody. And I, for the time frame that my church doors were open before COVID hit, I got the majority of people to understand that it was okay to be nice. It was really okay to be okay. And on those days where some people maybe just weren't, they maybe were having a bad hair day or whatever, that was an incident that was not capitalized in the rest of their life. They didn't have to wear that like a banner. I didn't necessarily project abuse should be met with abuse, but I would definitely promote every Sunday that we met that if you're having a problem with understanding how a person can treat you like that, look at them. Look at their existence. And if they don't tell you what that existence is, you don't know their backstory, then it's safe to say that they're damaged. You don't even have to try to speculate. They're damaged to some degree. And no, you don't have to put up with that. But if you don't want to rack up karma, if you don't want to increase your debt that you'll owe to have to pay off, your better bet is to just walk away and nullify the interaction between yourselves and save yourself that whole drama down the road someday when you have to stand in a place where you're reflecting on your life choices and realize, I maybe could have done better than that, and I'm not in a place to vibrate very well, and I can't really go to where I wanted to go because I made some pretty bad decisions. And it just keeps a whole cycle of abuse from continuing on. And that person, like I said, that person is going to learn. More people are going to walk away from them than engage in battle, because when you engage in battle, you're proving you're just as damaged as they are. And now say you come in a family, you're in a family where you've got to defend yourself, you've got to fight back, and the only thing these other people know is the same thing they've been dishing out. Well, the reality of it is if you intend to meet them in battle like that battle will go on. It won't ever stop because they'll always be trying to get the better of you because you paid attention to them in the manner that they dished it out. And now the game on. It's game on. There's not going to be ever a draw to that battle. But if you are in a place where you say somebody is being really rude and an a-hole, and you can't get the backstory, the best you can do is just point it out and tell them they really, had other options. And it's really too bad they had to choose to see things that way, and exit stage left, because that right there is going to make a bigger impact on them than you insulting them back. They're ready for that. They're ready for someone to accuse them of being rude. But if they see somebody walk out and not engage in that, they're going to be left thoughtless. They won't even know how to deal with it. And because you've already voiced your opinion, like, I'm really sorry that you have to be like that. And I think we could have had something, but I choose not to be in this kind of hostility and leave. They're going to be speechless. They're really not going to know how to respond in that manner. They were already geared for battle. But it really is, the point is, it really is where you're at in that moment. And if you get abused and the person won't let go, and the best you can do is cop them in it to maybe stop it for a minute and then make your exit, okay. But the fight won't be over. If it's something that you have to continue to live through or be around, the fight won't be over, ever.
And remember that doesn't, we're not always talking about people. Like that when we say, narcissistic abuser type of thing, for me, that's Facebook, which is an entity, right? I just think I want to get the heck out of that cesspool, because that everything about, social media these days is just like not great, and you just don't want anything to do with it. Yeah. I just focus on my own stuff. I don't focus on that, because what would end up happening is that, I would read something for like a split second. It would make me inexplicably angry, and then I would want to start throwing things. And then it's like, and then I do it again and keep doing it. And because, the system is built to keep you coming back for more all the time, you really can't run away from the abuse. So then finally I said, okay, so as opposed to looking at, these astrology groups on Facebook, which is basically a bunch of idiots, probably even bots, maybe not even real people, who just, want to play how many astrologers does it take to screw in a light bulb. I'm going to work on writing my textbook. This is something that I can work on that I know works, like that's taking my power back. Yeah. So that's just something that I've kind of been going through. So I do want to invite everybody who, it seems like we have some people watching us on YouTube. If you are watching, we don't really take chat readings when we're not paying attention to those other platforms like Facebook Live. So do give us a call here on the show at area code 319-527-6071. We'll be here for the next about half hour or so, and we will be taking all your questions. We're going to catch up with Dion here at area code 630. Hi, Dion. Can you hear me? Are you on the show?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, so how are you doing today?
I just feel like I could just have listened to you talking forever, because because I learn a lot too, though, because that's actually what's happening to me. So I was at the police station yesterday because somebody was building my YouTube channel, and then other people were taking like my videos that I was producing and then reposting them.
Oh,
and you can't do that. So I followed protocol. I sent them, like the cease and desist letters and reported it to YouTube. And then they started posting more videos, and they were like literally like making fun of me, sending cease and desist letters and telling me like to go and like sue YouTube. And then one of them went so far as to run a background check on me, went and had somebody at Walgreens pull up my prescriptions and posted them on Twitter.
Oh my God.
Wow. It's there's a whole nother level of crazy. And it's like, just me doing what I should be doing as a professional creator. Like, hey, I have a copyright, I paid for it, to the point where I literally had to open up a case at Walgreens. I had to go to the police station. I had to contact Twitter. I had to contact the copyright office. Now I have a dispute going with YouTube. All of these things because somebody just doesn't want to comply with the law. and they're like taking it out on me because they just don't want to have to remove content that they're stealing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they never wrote a book, because their channel's not monetized, because they don't see the value in what it is that I've created for myself, and then went for 4 hours and bashing me on YouTube. And it's just taking up so much of my time and draining the resources. I ended up just writing down all of their names, putting them in a bottle of water, sticking them in the freezer, because what Ernesto was also saying is like, if you literally just don't give it any attention, it goes away. But at the same time, I feel like, okay, I'm not engaging with them. I didn't email the people again. I'm just, handling it through the correct channels. But it's like, hopefully the universe will step in and just like reason with these people. Like, what you're doing is not reasonable. Like, you're like literally trying to destroy my career as an author that I've been building. Like, I had to shut down all of my social media yesterday because the police were like, you have to. You can't like keep it going. You have to shut it down. You have to give Twitter a chance to clear it up. You have to give YouTube a chance to clear it up. Then maybe just not put so much out there or whatever. It's like, I mean, I'm taking it as a learning experience and, and things like that, but it's just so unnecessary. But I guess, like, what do they say? Like, once, like, you have the haters, like you're making a difference or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you have people trying to steal your stuff and copy you, imposters, then you're making some type of mark where others want to emulate that and take away your glory. I really get too that you're right about this being a learning experience. It's what this is doing right now for you, though, Dion, is just protecting you to be able to go on to a different platform, a higher platform, if you will, strictly maybe to books, maybe audio books, whatever, but off of social media until it's time to just go ahead and promote what you have accumulated and put together in a professional format. I also get that you've got IT lawsuits across the board where these people are concerned, and they honestly just didn't think that you would do anything. They didn't feel like you either had the merit or the guts or the bar, whatever it would take to shut them down. So because they have a following, and that mass following was capable of just going at you all at once, it was very overwhelming. But I feel that what the police told you to do at this point now, I feel like they told you to do other things, but the thing I hear you saying is they said, shut that stuff down. Don't give them a chance to put anything more on it until Twitter or YouTube or whatever can make it right. I don't think that they are going to make it completely right, because I think these people have a niche for getting into those nooks and crannies and finding you. So you may have to rebrand yourself to get back out there on social media if that's what you intend to do. And if that's the case, then that was what was meant to happen. And I really feel like the higher platform, the higher format that you're going to enter in on is what's going to benefit you. That's where you're going to launch from. So now,
I agree.
Ernesto's got a bunch of stuff all over your chart. So let's see what he says.
I want to just tell you, I agree. Like, when I was talking to the officer yesterday, I was like, you know what? They can have Twitter, which is like the copyright office was like, just stay off of Twitter. There's such a mess right now. Like, they don't even have a legal department. And then I was laughing with the guy at the copyright office. But I thought to myself, you can have YouTube, you can have Twitter, you can have Instagram. I'm going to be, interviewed, in front of like the real media. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even have a desire to go back and even try to do any of that, actually.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Well, let's see what Ernesto has to say, because he's been doing a little bit of dialing on that wheel and putting some dots on there. So let's see what pops up.
Yeah, so Dion, I'm taking a look at your stuff here. So, the big question I think that we're wanting to know is what happens as the result of being stalked, because that's really what's going on here. Like you can use whatever other word, like there's lawsuits or infringement or your privacy is being violated, that kind of thing. But you're really just being stalked because it's annoying, it's harassment. It doesn't end. Like it just keeps going on. So when I look at this, like all of these dots here on this chart represent, three different iterations of the same question related to stalking. So we see how is that playing out for you in your life. And yeah, it's going to be, there's definitely some nastiness, like this, like the talk we had at the beginning about disengaging, you're really going to benefit from that. Why? Because we see right away, we have on this axis point here, Hades, Saturn, and then on the other side is Vulcanus. So like those three planets together are all really awful together. That's like jail, that's prison, that's to be tortured, that's really evil things. To suffer the mean acts of others, and you're going through all of that, which is definitely very true. And it's about a creative endeavor, which is further represented by this Zeus planet here on this opposite end. And it's your work, it's like your Mars, I feel like for you, the thing that you would benefit from the most right now is taking a vacation. Like truly get the heck out of Dodge for a little bit, like I don't know where that's going to be for you, what that would look like, but just be someplace where, you can like just kind of take it all in and relax, just take a load off from all of this BS that's been going down, because it is super distracting and awful and quite unpleasant. I do agree though that there will be some rebranding, there will be some new things that come out of this. This may be, like where we had a previous conversation about screenwriting that, like you may start to work with a little bit more of that, because I'll tell you now, as somebody who's an aspiring screenwriter, if you're a no talent nobody that nobody's ever heard of, getting your project on screen is impossible for like budget concerns and all of that stuff. So what you want to do is write a movie, like take your favorite novel and turn it into like either a short film, like maybe 60 pages, or a feature that's about 90 or more. And really, really make that good. And then in your query letter, you say, oh, by the way, I've written this short film or this feature that's based off of a novel that I wrote. So then that way people can say, if this film script is good, then let's take a look at the novel, because then they're going to want to know what that's all about. Like I tell people, I wrote this feature pilot, or I wrote this feature film, and it's based off an original series that has a pilot that goes with it. So then, when they say that the movie is good, then they want to look at the pilot, and that's how you get that greenlit and start staffing on that project. That's how that whole process works. So I really feel like that for you in this case, that doing some more of that screenwriting, motion picture kind of stuff, gearing yourself in that way, that's going to be part of the rebranding. I do absolutely agree that, lawsuits need to be had here, because if there are trademarks on your work, and I know this from personal experience, you can sue the offenders for treble damages so they don't do it again. Basically it's a monetary slap on the wrist that says, you're wasting my time and the courts, don't ever do this again. And it's annoying, and they won't. So find an intellectual property lawyer in your area who has some teeth, because these people have every single, you absolutely have a case, and nobody would. You would be a fool to deny this, because it's easy money to be made, and you can make it go away. I do think, that there's just going to be a lot of paperwork in this whole process to make that happen. But it's going to be relatively easy. And I think the lawsuit is really going to give you the peace of mind that you need to say that, like, even if they try to do it again, they won't, because that treble damage lawsuit or fine, that's going to teach them a lesson. And they'll say, I don't want to put this out there again, because I don't want to be sued for another $12,000 or however much money it is. Mm-hmm. And then, you can take that money and go on an Antarctic cruise or, whatever vacation of your choice. I really feel like that vacationing is something that you would benefit from right now. Or do you have, Dion, do you have a brother?
Okay, when you, what? Do I have a brother? Yes.
You do? Have you thought about seeing him at all?
No, I don't talk to anybody in my family, unfortunately. They don't have anything to do with me, because they stole money from me, and so then that was kind of it.
Okay, so then what I'm reading here, then you going on a vacation, it doesn't have to do with family. Yeah, you really need to get out of town though. Like see some new sights, recharge your batteries. That's exactly what your chart is saying here for you. Now I'm sorry, you had something else you wanted to say to me?
Okay, so when you're talking about the rebranding,
Uh-huh.
it's interesting that you use that word because part of the issue was that they were using my name on a copyright that the copyright people kind of screwed up on, but they're trying to fix it. It's not that I have to change my name, just the way that I'm putting myself out there. Is that true?
Right.
I don't want to have to change my
Yes.
name again.
No, it's
Right.
not going to be anything.
That's exactly right.
It's the nature
And
of
so
the work
I just
itself
want
will
to add
change.
want to add one more thing in there. When I'm hearing that there is a possibility for the outcome to result in you netting some money, this is one of the ways spirit works, because you wouldn't have gotten this money in any other manner, and it may be something you need right now. And so this fool is giving you the opportunity to benefit from his idiocy, and not only him, but there are others. So, like Ernesto was saying, that's a good chunk of money to be had, easy money to be had, but it also may be the very way Spirit is sending it to you. And it may have a lot to do with paperwork, but I feel like you're pretty organized. And even though for many people it would just throw them right over the top because they don't want to have to accumulate all this stuff and get it together and present it. But the reality of it is you're not that disorganized. So it may be Spirit's way of saying, hey, we know you're going to need a little startup cash, and or hey, you need to take a freaking break, and you don't have the money to do that by your means available right now. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to trip these people up. They're going to get caught. Now you've got what you need at the expense of these yo-yos, and you didn't have to really bust your butt for it other than to rebrand yourself, which yes means only in the way you do it and like how it looks, provide whatever it is that you didn't do before, a logo and things that just make it so characteristically yours that it can't be copied from now on. And don't worry so much about, yes, pursue the rest of it being fixed, but don't worry so much about waiting for it to be fixed, to have this happen. You can start rebranding yourself right now. You don't have to wait until Twitter or YouTube or the copyright people get their ducks in a row and create order. Find that intellectual property attorney, like Ernesto said, that has teeth, and go after these people.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dion, because here's
wow.
what's going to happen. There are two options here. There are two roads, and they're both very crystal clear. So either you can be a pawn and just accept the abuse for what it is and say, oh, it was just bad luck. And, I kind of ruined my day, but I'll get over it, with time. So that's option one. And that's going to lead to all kinds of like depression and creative roadblocks and all types of nasty issues we don't want to get into. Or, you can like be fiercely responsible and stand up for yourself. And like I kind of think that these people, the reason why you specifically were targeted is because they just thought that that you're some stupid head who doesn't know any better. But like this is basically to show them, no, I do mean business. Like do not play around with me because I don't do that. So this is like a thing that you had to experience to have that set of spiritual lessons delivered to you. Fortunately, you may come out with some pretty good money and as a result of this experience. But, this was just a stepping stone in the process of Dion turning into, the big, powerful person that Dion is. And learning these life lessons and getting them under your belt and knocked out of the way now. So it just your soul decided to manifest these lessons in that way. So, I mean, again, the choices are you can be a pawn and roll over and that's it, or we can stand up for ourselves and go on a nice vacation when it's over.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to follow up.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, well, it was great to have you on the show, Dion. Be sure to give us a call and let us know how it turns out in the future.
I will. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great to have you. We'll
You're
catch up
welcome.
with you soon. Take care, and until next time.
Okay.
Okay, and we have Amala here, who we are going to catch up with and finish our reading from our last show. Amala, hi, are you on the air with us right now? Hello? Okay, she must have stepped away.
Hello?
Are you there?
Oh, she is. There she is.
Hello.
Hi. Hello,
Hi.
welcome. Okay, Amala, are you there with me? Can
Hi,
you hear me?
Kamala. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are
Good.
you?
Yay.
Good. I'm so glad you called me to chime in. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to pull up your stuff here. I asked a whole bunch of questions of your chart about like what your health is doing because we wanted to take a look into, or we wanted to take a look into that. So I have your chart up
Yeah.
here from a screenshot that I did earlier where I was testing all of this
Okay.
stuff out. And I have to ask, last year, did you have an eye infection?
I had pink eye actually. Yes.
And it came up out of the blue unexpected and it was kind of damaging, right?
No, actually, because I've had it before when I was a kid, so I know what to do. But I don't think it was. I don't necessarily think it was out of the blue.
Because I want to say that.
Or honestly, you know what? You could be right. I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay,
Kind of.
all right, for sure. So, because I was just looking at this and I was like, you had mentioned that, you had some changes in eyesight this past year. So, to me, that would look
Yes.
like that it was all triggered by an eye infection. That's like that. That's all of
Oh.
the orange stuff that's happening on your chart right there. If you can make that detail out, that speaks more to an
Okay.
infection and that's affecting the eyes. So that would have been last year, and then that's kind of where it would have tumbled. Now, here's the interesting thing: as somebody else who's low vision
Okay.
along with you, any soul out in the
Okay.
universe who has medical issues of any kind, when we reach about the ages of 43 to about 47-ish, we'll say, everybody's chart basically becomes in symmetry to itself, meaning that like if you to speak Western astrology, the entire chart becomes in semi-square to itself. So everything is 45 degrees by solar arc ahead of where it started at the time of birth. So because everything in the chart is symmetrical at about that 45-degree age,
Yeah.
what happens then is that if you have health maladies or issues that you need to take care of, those health issues become very much highlighted and on the forefront. So, taking a look at this would suggest to me that I feel like that you've got some more stuff, I want to say, in the future and about, like some vision or eyesight changes, but it's not negative, actually. This speaks more to the positive that, that there's some new piece of information or practitioner that you have never
Okay.
heard of before. And that this type of person
Okay.
is going to, have all of the answers and, fix a lot of issues. Because it seems to me like, your healthcare kind of stagnates from time to time because either medical providers gaslight you because they don't know what the heck they're doing, or they just very simply don't have
Yeah.
the answers, period.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
you and
Makes
I
sense.
share this in
Yeah.
common. We know what that's all about. So we don't have to get into that experience. But what's going to happen here is
No.
this next year is going to be a time when you're going to make a connection to that person who does problem solve like they're supposed to and give you the answers. Like I just feel like that you're going to make a connection that is unlike any other one that you've had in the past, and it's going to give you some answers here.
Oh, that's
I
amazing.
agree.
And you know what I'm doing actually? I'm doing a lot of candle work, and it really I don't know where I've been per se, but like because of the vision loss, it's like a whole new world for me with all these candles that it's a lovely, and I just stare at the flame and I release so much. I do this intentionally at night before I go to bed. Like I do this for like an hour, and I just stare at the flame, and I can't even tell you how much I've released. It's amazing. All this past life stuff is just breaking off of me. My whole body, my shoulders are relaxed. I mean, I feel like if you would, like analogy-wise, like a ice glacier's breaking off a big chunk of ice. That's what I feel like. I'm like breaking off these chunks of just whatever in the past, and it also was the eyesight too, because I see a lot more clearly in the mornings when I wake up. It's very crispy, is the word.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Veretta,
I agree
Yeah.
too that you're going to meet someone that's going. Yeah, I agree that you're going to meet somebody. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking at layers of why is this happening? Where did it come from? You know, what's the
Okay.
onset and what's the outcome? Um, a little bit of this, if you want to look at a spiritual perspective of why, it was because you chose to not be able to see things with the physical eyes in
Yes.
lieu of listening or looking at things from a spiritual perspective and allowing your gifts, your metaphysical abilities, psychic abilities, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah, exactly.
take precedence on how you live and how you learn. Now, that would be one of the biggest main reasons that you brought this to yourself in this lifetime. Another thing
Yeah.
that I would say is it's also helping you get past a rut or that need to express yourself as a victim, because what once was is no longer, and you're learning how to stand up for yourself, and you're doing it
Yeah.
very adamantly. You're doing it, with, like we told you a long time ago on our previous show. It was about boundaries and
Yeah.
learning to love yourself enough to know that you can have respect and say, you know what, I can't. No, this isn't working for me. One of the things that I hear also where this new individual coming in is concerned is because you're willing to put yourself out there and do a little bit more than you think your limited sight will allow you. And because you give yourself this permission, that boost of energy is going to careen you into this other person or this organization that's going to help you understand what you've got going on, give you the tools. I feel like I'm also seeing exercises that you'll apply here when they absolutely tell you what the definitive cause and factor is for your blindness. And the other thing I see is once you get on board with this and know that there are things like you're doing the candle work right now, once you get on board with knowing what those exercises are, you're going to bounce right back into more of an optimal health. I can't say you'll have 100% of your vision, but I do believe I see this individual having the answers in regards to tools, exercises, maybe even a procedure. And that once that procedure is over, you're going to be 90% back to where you were once upon a time. Now, does that mean, I don't have to worry about anything anymore? No. You learned so much up to this point. Don't let that go. Do not take for granted that you're going to get 100% of your health back. Do not take that for granted that you're going to get 90% of your vision, because there are other factors in your body that have not been addressed yet. You do have a deficiency. You do have other things that go on that will need to be taken care of before you're back into that optimal health that gives your eyeballs a chance to rest and be what they need to be. So it's not only this individual is not only going to be able to help you with your vision, they're going to help you with your whole body. And that right there is going to be the key to your success. Because the minute you know what regimen you have to be on to make yourself healthy and stay that way, you will never change your mind or change your life again. You will always be dedicated to knowing that as long as you do this XYZ, you're fine. You can live a very confident, happy, healthy life and not really worry about other things that you would think are a little bit more than a challenge that you don't want to bite off. And you'll be a lot less like self-conscious when it comes to relationships and meeting people and being in a position of power, because you will be at some point down the road. Once you've accumulated the new life, you're going to go out and preach it, darling.
90 seconds.
You're going to stand tall, and you're going to tell people what you know about what you used to be, and then who you become, and how that happened, and how they can do that too. And you're going to do it with such a flow. You're going to do it so automatically that it's not going to be work for you. You're not even going to break a sweat at it. You're just going to get up and preach it and be good and not take responsibility for whoever it lands on. But you're going to know that the people that it lands
60
on
seconds.
was meant to hit that mark. And you've done your job. So get off the stage and go. The whole part of the understanding what your body is going through will be the key to your success.
And to add to that, Amala, I'm also taking a look at, some
Yeah.
of your other health midpoint and things like that to see how we want to make that out, what that looks like for you. And a big piece of all of this in this listing here that I'm looking at is that,
Okay.
as Beretta was saying, that you've had this experience with your health so that way you could focus on these other psycho-spiritual elements of your life. And FY, if we get cut off with the BTR recording, we'll still keep going here. Well, we're still live on YouTube for everybody. So we'll finish this up and then we'll be done for tonight. But I just want to say this, that, you've got this whole thing that like your whole life
10
experience
seconds.
really, with like how you have had to handle yourself or present yourself, with these limitations that you've experienced in life, and how to make the best out of that. Like these are all life lessons that you have had to integrate. And so like by you having these experiences as a result of the health issues that you need to keep on working on this, like your emotional state of mind is so
Yeah.
key in terms of like your healing of the physical body,
Yeah.
that like when you
Yeah.
harbor the fear and the anger and like all of the negative emotions, that's pulling you in the opposite direction of your godliness in terms of like your own healing abilities. So my advice to you is really just I guess like dive into all of the more spiritual stuff. Like you're doing candle work right now. Maybe perhaps do add some new element to that, some new layer that
Oh
gives you
yeah,
something else.
absolutely.
Like I feel like that
Yeah.
that you can really start to refine this, and you may not have the immediate relief that you're looking for, but at the very least you feel better in the moment, and that at least gets you through. I know for me,
Exactly.
I suffer from boredom on such a frequent and constant basis that it can really just hurt sometimes. But then I say, wait, why am I bored when I could focus on these other things in my life that I really enjoy? So I do those things,
Right.
and
Right.
and that brings me joy, and it dissipates the discomfort that I would feel emotionally. So I feel like that you being in like an emotional zen spot, that that's gonna promote the healing, and that's gonna put you into the right contacts with the people who have the answers to resolve this for
Yeah,
you.
and
Yep.
this has only been recent, seriously, because I'm so used to having the shoe drop on me. But this, just by changing the dynamics of my perception of, no, change your mindset, and just really, it's not even thinking positive. It's about feeding my body with love and light and abundance, joy, all those words that just feeds my body versus like thinking blah, blah, blah. It's made such a difference. And then sound healing, I listen to the sound baths while I'm doing the candle work, and breathing into the candle, which is already, it has a fragrance. I know when there's so much more out there, it's really made a difference. And like you said, I mean, if anything, it's making me feel so good and so nourished is the word, very nourished and fully balanced, mind, body, spirit wise. And I think what also came up, what I really want to stress is definitely not losing my trust. By losing the vision, it's like people who tell you, oh, you don't see it. And they'll tell the blind lady, oh, you don't see that. Well, yes, I do. And I stick by Amla. I'm not going to listen to you. And that's the biggest lesson that to keep consistent with, is to trust myself, that intuition, trust it. I know, I do know, and no one else can tell you otherwise. If you know in your heart, you just know. There's nothing else to say.
Right.
It's beautiful.
No, and along that line, when you are looking into that candle, do you know what scrying is? Do you know what it means to scry? Have you ever watched somebody look into a pattern or the crystal ball? The crystal ball, when they look into a crystal ball and they see visions and they see that's scrying. You can do the same thing with that candle. When you're breathing in that flame, and you're getting the benefit of the essence of smell, but when you're breathing in that flame, blink out your mind to everything else that's going on, and you might want to turn your music off too. Yes or no? Try it with both ways, but allow and ask. Tell that flame, all right, start talking. Start telling me what I need to know. Start showing
And
me
it does.
what's there for me to see.
It does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good girl. And write that stuff down. Write it down,
Okay.
because you're
Write
going to
it
start
down.
to see a pattern. And after a while, when you go back and reflect on what you've written and you find that it's happening, holy cow. And that will be your biggest validator that what you're doing is right.
Thank you for that. That's beautiful. I will write it down. I don't write it down, but I will. That's important.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Oh, yay. And I actually, because this particular candle has 2 wicks. So I actually see in my mind's eye the Infinity 8 going back and forth, crossing over with the Infinity 8 symbol. And amazing. Amazing things are coming about.
You know, Amala, if you wanted to use like the energy of the planets in your healing, here's how we would do that. So like for something like eyesight, 2 of the 5 planets that we use are Sun and Moon, and then Neptune we're going to add that for spirituality. So when we look at planets and trans-Neptunians, which I have up on the screen here, I'm sorry, there we go. Here, this document's really cool because it tells you the planet. The psychological manifestations of it, like the conscious choice of the positive or negative of, how that planet's expressing in the chart. And then it gives us the medical and chemistry, like associations. So like the sun in this case is going to be represented by the element gold, and the moon is going to be represented by the element silver. So Neptune is represented by water, very simply. So what you can do then is if you integrate like silver, gold, and water into your candle work, you can definitely scry from metal. You can actually scry from plastic, and I've had this experience. So you can basically use anything of your choice. And then, to integrate the water, to use like the meniscus of the water, just like when it's right in that dip, that's like the sweet spot where you can start to make things out. These are all 3 elements that would bring, that would definitely morph the energy of your healing, and I think that it would make it more powerful than what it is right now. So that's another element we can add.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I actually work with Archangel Michael, and there's so much, and you have to like switch it up. I do get bored myself. But there's so much creativity and there's so much manifestation. It's just endless possibilities. There's so much you can do with this. So, yeah. And I actually go ahead. Sorry, Beretta. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, add Archangel Raphael in there when you're working with that energy. The healing. Right. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
It makes some complete sense. I mean, there's another meditation on YouTube. I forgot what it is. It's the ultraviolet flame, and I've been doing a lot of violet flame. Purple has always been my favorite color since I was like 5, and I didn't know why, and now I know why. In the sense of like, it all makes sense to me. So there's just my book is purple too. I had to be purple.
That is easy for you to grasp because if you were a little bit less aware of what can happen with the benefits of what you're doing right now, then it might escape you all the things that you're getting. But it's good to see and it's good to hear that you're capable of understanding 100% of what you're being told, and you're, like we started the show, you're open-minded enough to utilize something different and to know that there may be more out there. You just didn't know it yet. And, you don't plan on just staying in this spot forever. You want to grow. You want to learn. You want to heal to be your optimal self and live your optimal life. And you will. You can.
And it's you just said it. It's so important to say, I can. And, like, I always remind myself the simplest thing, I've got this. That really helps me move forward, even though I'm like, no, I've got this. Amla, you've got this. I love that.
Yep.
It's such a simple thing, but it's so confident, and it makes you want to go. Yeah.
And
beautiful
then also,
stuff.
and then like I struggle with this often. That I have to give myself permission to do the things that I already do and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So true. So true. And being kind to yourself. So what? You had a crappy day. So what? Or a crappy moment. This too shall pass, and there's another moment, and another moment after that. It's just all a mindset. You have 24 hours. What are you going to do with it? Everybody has the same 24 hours, right? Do you want to sleep 8 hours? Do you want to sleep 6 hours? What do you want to do with that, with the waking hours? You know, there's so many options if you look at it that way. It's you know, my guru, I have to share this with you. It's this very simple thing. He goes, you have a glass. 20 years ago, I went to a 10-day silent retreat, and it changed. It really has helped me with everything. Everything leads to something else. But his example was this. He goes, you have a glass and it's half full, right? The pessimist would say it's half empty. The optimist would say it's half full. And you know, you might have seen memes that say, well, you could always refill it. But if you look at it objectively, which is the way this whole meditation works, it's based on Buddhism, there's no manifesting, there's no adding. You're just looking at things as is objectively. If you look at the glass half empty, pessimistic says it's half empty, and the optimistic says it's half full. Well, actually, if you look at it from a distance, it's both. It's both. It's half empty and it's half full. If you look at life with both, seeing both, your whole perception changes. Your whole objectivity towards people. There's no narratives. There's no old paradigm. There's no matrix.
Right.
You're just seeing it for what it is.
For what it is.
And that really.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference. I that very example, when I had to teach it in the what are you going to choose? If you're going to live in polarity, which one is it? Well, if you're going to live in polarity is what you should have heard, not the question itself. Because the reality of it is what it is a glass with water in it, period. Not half full, not half empty. It's a glass with water in it. There it is. And you do with it what you need. You do with it what you will. And if it benefits you, great. And if not, whatever. Don't even go there. But you're so right. If you're just objective enough to see what it is and not put more to it, not take away from it, not, create drama or labels, then you're more aware of that person that has to have a philosophy of no, it's half full, no, it's half empty, because it just doesn't get you anywhere, and the fight goes on. That polarity continues.
Yeah, and all of that leads to acceptance. Pure acceptance is love. If you look at people as is, no questions asked, no wondering why are you this way, not that way. It makes the world such a better. I feel so full. I'm sure you could hear it in my energy, like just by accepting people for what they are, which is love anyway. Those are other stuff that's just delayed. I'm living proof of that. People want to see my blindness, they will. That's all they see. That's fine. You go see that. But I have nothing to prove. When you love yourself so much, you have nothing to prove to anyone. You're just it. Whatever, people.
That's right. You're in a good place, darling. You're in a very good place. Yeah. Good for you.
Alma, I do have to say this though. Please, seriously, I don't know where your stuff falls in Amala's chart. I'd have to look at that. But please seriously consider us or someone in your local network to give you some spirit communication lessons. I'm just going to call it that, which is really all encompassing for things like mediumship and, all of that stuff, because this is a year where you're definitely going to become really good at that stuff. And if you pass it up, it's not going to happen again until the next life. So I really hope that we can jump on, your spirit communication skills.
Okay, I'm so glad it's February because I have the whole year. This is great.
Yeah,
this is awesome. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very common theme for you, and something else that's going to happen as a byproduct of you going down this path is it's going to give you a fierce sense of responsibility about your spiritual relationships and also just the way that you do things and perceive the world. So you can, by you opening yourself up to your higher power, it's going to give you some new perspective where you say, oh, that's not what I was thinking. This isn't what I wanted out of life. Or now I can drop this person by the wayside because I know it's no good. And you've been through a lot of those conversations recently, like in this past relationship mess that was kind of sticky and not really fuzzy at all. So you've sort of already had a taste of what that life is like, but this is going to be you're going to have more themes where you get to practice this out in the next year, and I really feel like that spirit communication is something that you want to jump on, since we're in such a hot period for that to be happening, and that's going to be a major obstacle for you too. Just to let you know is that you're that this is going to become such a focus for you that some other things may have to slide by the wayside. So it's not all bad. It's just the fact that this is going to consume you in a way that you weren't expecting.
Got it.
But it
That
will
makes
also
sense.
benefit you. Yeah,
Yes.
it will also benefit you in a way that you wouldn't know either.
Yes, the spiritual healing that comes as a result of this is there is no comparison, like even from where you are today compared to what we can get out of you from going down this other thing.
Wow. Oh, it's such a blessing talking to you both. Oh my goodness. This was just so unexpected. I honestly I forgot about this today. I forgot about your show, and then Ernie called and I was like, oh my God, thank you for this. Thank you for your gift, and I'm just so grateful.
Yes,
much
for
love
sure.
to both of you. I'm so
Thank you.
honored to meet you. Thank you so much. Thank
For sure.
you.
We really appreciate having you on the show. We will be back with you guys on, let's see here, Sunday morning. We'll be back.
Sunday?
Yeah, from
Sounds
what time
great.
are we doing? 11 to
Okay.
12? Yes, I
I
think
think
11.
it was 10 to 11.
Okay,
It was
if
11
that's
to
what we're
12, I
doing,
don't remember.
okay, so let's do that. 10 to 11. I'm so sorry. I forget all of this. Too many things going on right now. But yeah, it was great. We will be back with you guys from 10 to 11 on Sunday morning for our next program. We do want to thank all of our guests for being on the show with us today. It was great to have you guys as always, Amala and Dion. We really appreciate having you guys drop by so we could have these great conversations with you tonight.
Thank you so much. God bless. Take good care.
We'll catch up with you soon. Take care and many blessings.
Okay, bye.
Okay, all right, and that is it for today. It has been real, as always. You have been listening to Celestial Intersections Radio, live here on Blog Talk Radio, powered by eastrologer.tv. Again, I'm Ernesto. I was with you here for the past hour. For all other things Uranian Astrology, be sure to check out eastrologer.tv. It's TV like television. And Beretta, you can hit up at berettavision.com. We'll be back with you guys on our next program, and it was amazing. I look so forward to it, and thank you guys for it all.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and many blessings.
Yep. Have
Bye-bye.
a great week, you guys. Good luck and Godspeed. Good night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.